Santiago, Calatrava.
Santiago, Calatrava.
Santiago, Calatrava.
This Friday, Santiago Calatrava Day. City leaders say the building helped redefine the city. It put Milwaukee on a global map.
In 2023, I stumbled across a bridge in Sevilla. Such a fascinating shape. I wanted to know who built it. And what I found was stunning. I was hooked. But as I was digging, a feeling of unease went through me. An incredible amount of controversy.
When it rains, there's always a leak.
I started to dig. A lot. And I had this very bizarre feeling. I was torn between admiration and confusion. How can someone create such fascinating work and still be considered the world's most hated architect? I had to understand. Who is Santiago Calatrava? Why is he called that? And is it deserved? Santiago was born in Benimamet in 1951, a small village near Valencia. He grew up under Franco's dictatorship. His family were citrus exporters. Nothing foreshadowed what Santiago would become. However, the Calatrava family often went to the Prado in Madrid since his father loved art. Santiago's youth is spent dreaming about Spanish artists like Picasso or Goya, and his father had this saying, "Being an artist, it's something superior." He dies when Santiago is only 13 years old. For him, it's crystal clear. He will be an artist. And you see, near his house in Valencia, there is an abandoned tower where doves live. Santiago spent hours observing and drawing them. His love for nature and the never-ending sketches will be a big part of his career. Gradually, in the 60s, Franco's regime starts to loosen up. Santiago has the incredible opportunity to enroll in the Beaux-Arts in Paris. But the timing could not be worse. May 68 in Paris, the French are rioting. Classic. Santiago is forced to go back to Valencia, depressed. But his stay in Paris made him realize something crucial. As he stood on the forecourt of Notre Dame, he saw the light beam through the south windows. He realized how beautiful architecture could be. Back in Valencia, in a stationery shop, he finds a book on French architect Le Corbusier. Santiago is fascinated by the way he captures emotion in his building. These two encounters seal it. Santiago enrolls in architecture in Valencia, and at 22, he graduates. But Santiago is afraid to take the plunge. He fears that by immediately working as an architect, he will kill his artistic vision. He is going through a massive period of doubt. But one last discovery will shape his future. Robert Maillard, a Swiss engineer. He's particularly known for this bridge. Now you may think it is a very ordinary bridge. In fact, it is one of the first bridges ever built in reinforced concrete. It was a revolution at the time. Minimalist, seemingly weightless, light as a sheet of paper, exactly the kind of feeling that captivates both Le Corbusier and Santiago. This convinces him to explore engineering. So Santiago travels to Zurich, where he enrolls in engineering. That's 8 more years on university benches. But for Santiago, it's worth every hour. He's convinced that by merging architecture and engineering, by mastering new materials, he will revolutionize architecture. His PhD thesis explores the mechanics of movement in architecture, how a static structure can move, and it involves studying Nazis design, biomimicry, and Da Vinci's work on movement. And at 30 years old, his training is complete. Art, architecture, and engineering. A truly unique combination. His debut as an architect is complicated. Many of his projects are not selected. He's giving small projects, but something stands out already. An artistic instinct unlike anything else. His first notable project is for the German company Ernsting. Ernsting is a textile company, and they want a new facade for a warehouse. And this project really displays Santiago's genius sense of creativity. To understand how, let me tell you about Mastery by Robert Greene. In this book, Greene studies athletes, artists, on their path to mastery. So how does it look like for Santiago? First, he uses sketches as a form of pure unconscious expression, with a childlike spirit, letting his mind wander in any direction he wants, freely associating ideas from everywhere. This stage comes naturally for him, as he developed his sketching habits throughout his childhood. It gives him a draft to work on, and for the moment, it's very vague. And now comes the real challenge. He now has to make his initial vision fit into the constraints of the project. Fit the dream in the box. This is where creativity truly emerges. The combination of a dream with a real-life constraint. As you try to fit your initial vision, you are forced to find new path. So what does it look like for Ernstein's warehouse?
And the lorries you see coming out and in, you see, it's like the history of Jonas.
So Santiago imagined the warehouse as a whale. It was the perfect occasion to use his engineering skills to create these unique doors based on the fin of a whale. With a very specific need and a limited budget, he managed to make something truly unique. But perhaps you're already sensing a problem with this approach. We'll get there. This project, as modest as it is enough to get Santiago noticed. And Santiago has this wonderful competitive advantage of being both an architect and an engineer. He begins to seek out public projects, and he specializes in bridges and train stations, what cities are asking for most. This will become the root of many issues. Now, there's one last thing about Einstein. As he made these doors that mimic the fin of a whale, it sparked his ambition. He thought that it might be possible to go further.
Could you imagine, for example, a whole facade could get transformed? This is, in my opinion, feasible today, and certainly a challenge for the new generation.
He dreamed of a building that would be entirely in motion, a dream that for the moment seems unreachable. Bridge after bridge, train station after train station, Santiago's styles appears. It all comes down to one thing: biomimicry. It began with his love of birds and his obsession with representing them as a child. You see, movement has obsessed many artists throughout history, and Santiago is no different. This obsession led him to explore sculpture. He loved the way static objects looked like they were about to move. And this ability to freeze motion, Santiago incorporated it in his building, like in Lyon's train station. They truly convey a profound sense of motion, as he conceives them as massive sculptures, like a creature in the middle of a move. Santiago's favorite themes are birds, whales, waves, and he also fancies anatomy, like eyes or skeletons, and he noticeably had the skeleton of a dog in his office, named Fifi. Santiago's career truly started to grow in the 90s, with Lyon's train station, Barcelona's bridge, the Alamillo Bridge in Sevilla, and it's also where problem begins. Now I want you to remember the box. In the beginning, Santiago had a dream to fit it in. Now what would happen if the box disappeared, leaving him without constraint? Well, as Santiago's reputation grew, the constraint started to fade. In the early 90s, the autonomous government of Valencia launched a massive project, a work of the pharaoh, a place dedicated to arts and science. And Santiago is chosen to lead the project. Fast forward 20 years, it is a marvelous place, where Santiago's creativity is on full display. All of his favorite themes are there: the figure of an eye, anatomical inspiration, and this opera that looks like a whale coming out of water. A stunning science fiction setting that even appeared in Star Wars series Andor. And this place is now one of the faces of the city, his hometown. It is a true consecration as an artist. But behind the scenes, something is off. The City of Art and Science gave birth to a website, Calatrava te la clava, which means Calatrava bleeds you dry, made by the left politician Ignacio Blanco. The website traces all of the grey area surrounding the City of Art and Science, and there are many grey areas. And we'll come back to them, because I want to rewind time to find out where the controversy started. Nowadays, Calatrava te clava does not exist anymore, but another website was created that traces all of Calatrava's scandals. I cannot cite them all, because there are too many, but I am going to classify the controversy by their level of gravity. And damn, it goes far. In May 1997, Santiago delivers a bridge, the Zubizuri in Bilbao. It means White Bridge in Basque. In the beginning, the bridge is greatly appreciated, but quickly, accidents start to occur. You see, the bridge deck is made of glass, which is very fashionable. However, in Bilbao, rain is frequent. In fact, it is the rainiest region of Spain. Keep that in mind. And when it rains, the bridge becomes very slippery. So the city of Bilbao had to add an anti-slip coating for safety. And the exact same thing happened in Venice. But there is more. The city of Bilbao asked a Japanese architect to add a ramp to improve pedestrian access on Santiago's bridge. In response, he sued them for moral damages. The mayor said, "We've had enough of the dictatorship of Calatrava, saying we can't touch his little bridge. We've had enough of this superstar." Santiago won 30k out of the 3 million he asked, and gave the money to charity. Still, in the Basque Country, Santiago made 2 more blunders. The Bodega Isios, a winery that looks straight out of Minecraft. Domecq, the commissioner, complained that the roof leaked constantly. He has never managed to keep the rain out, making it impossible to maintain a stable environment for the wine. They demanded €2 million to bring in new architects entirely. In the north of Bilbao, Santiago designed the Sondica airport. You recall when I told you that Bilbao was the rainiest region in Spain? Well, the airport was delivered with a waiting room with no roof. Passengers waited for the luggage outdoors. Of course, the airport had to fix the problem, but the contract stipulated that any extension or modification had to be given to Santiago. So they paid another 29 million to reform the airport. Now let's get back to the City of Art and Science, and talk especially about budget, as this is the aspect of the controversies that is causing the most stir. The City of Art and Science goes far beyond budget, from 300 million to €1 billion. But going over budget is a signature move for Calatrava. A lot of his construction going at least 30% over budget, like the Margaret McDermott Bridge in Dallas or Liège train station. But is it truly his fault? Let's take the City of Art and Science as an example. It is what is called a mega project. And Danish economist Bent Flyvberg spent his career studying why mega projects fail. And he found out that they almost always fail the same way. He calls it the iron law of mega projects. Over budget, over time, every single time. Mega projects are symbol. Politicians use them to cement their legacy, to look visionary. So they push project through even though uncertainty is high. Flyvberg calls it strategic misrepresentation. You lowball the cost, you oversell the benefits, and once the hole is dug, you can't go back. Second is rushed planning. In most mega projects, the pressure is high. You often start before you actually figured out how to build the thing.
With water coming right out of the wall.
What follows is a break-fix cycle. Problems surface mid-construction, and work gets redone. The third component is psychology. Both an optimism bias, people focused on best-case scenarios, and a uniqueness bias. Every team thinks their project is so special, so unprecedented. The Sydney Opera House is the perfect example. A beautiful vision, but no technical plan whatsoever. Construction started anyway, driven by Joseph Cahill, a politician whose popularity was declining. The final bill was 14 times over budget, and 5 years late. So you combine these 3 elements and you get the same problem every time. Different architect, different cities, same problem. And the City of Art and Science initial cost is 300 million. It went above $1 billion. And what triggers the controversies is that during the 20-year period of the construction, Santiago got 94 million in fees. Since his firm is based in Switzerland, his critiques points out that this means he pays no taxes in Spain. He's also accused of receiving 15 million for towers that never existed. 15 million to make a model. And there is more. The Whale Opera initial cost was 80 million. In the end, it cost 480 million. And 8 years after completion, part of the roof started to collapse, and its surface started to show wrinkles. People were furious. In the same time, the Popular Party, the government that was in charge during the construction of the City of Art and Science, faced serious allegation of corruption.
It's the latest chapter in a corruption scandal that's embroiled the Conservative Popular Party.
The City of Art and Science became a political symbol, the symbol of the money that the Popular Party wasted. Now, how does Santiago defend himself? My firm has received fees of 90 million euros, which is very modest if you consider that I've been doing the architecture, landscape, and all the engineering. And when he asked what causes the criticism, it is a political maneuver by the communists. If these costs were not justifiable, we would all be in prison. I repeat, we would all be in prison. There is not a cent that is not approved. The City of Art and Science is quite shady. It is the perfect target for the political opposition.
¿Sabes qué es, no? Trencadís. Un símbol. El símbol de la caiguda del revestiment de la coberta. Y també de la caiguda d'un règim. De la caiguda del règim del Partit Popular en el País Valencià.
Still, it went to court, where Calatrava won. The website was shut down, only to reappear under the name Calatrava no scala. Calatrava won't silence us. Even though the budget overruns are the one that makes the most noise, I don't think that's the most serious issue. In my opinion, the criticism around the budget overrun may be explained by the nature of these mega projects. We'll get back to that when we talk about the Oculus, the biggest one yet. Now, the real oddity. What's up with all of these structural flaws? A slippery bridge, an outdoor waiting room, collapsing roof, and it does not stop there. In Oviedo, he built a convention center, and the 9th of August 2006, the Alero, a part of the roof collapsed, injuring 3 workers. Allianz, the insurer, sued Calatrava for 3 million euros. These are serious matters for an architect. And to make matters worse, Santiago's personality is very eccentric. It does not help mitigating the controversies. He is described as arrogant. That Calatrava is above and beyond the client. He sees himself as a man working for the people, an artist with the mission of spreading beauty, a vision that doesn't suit everyone. Santiago is also very provocative, and he knows it.
Je pourrais apparaître comme provocateur. Je le suis. Je n'ai pas peur de...
In Tel Aviv, he gave a lecture to architectural students. He started drawing for an hour, with back music in the background. This is the first lecture about architecture I have attended in which the speaker did not speak. Now, these are students, no big deal. However, he did the exact same thing with renowned architect Calatrava. What a waste. When Calatrava came to Yale, he got up after a long introduction. He said, "I'm going to draw." He had a camera over a drawing board. He turned on music and drew for a whole hour. Turned off the music and walked off the stage. "I will make you wings, and this subway station will cost 4 billion. Such arrogance. Now that we've seen some controversies that surround Santiago, it's time to go to the United States and approach the Oculus. Before that, I need to talk about his first US project, because it might be his greatest success. Almost no controversies, and it is my personal favorite. Do you recall his dream from the Ernstine warehouse? The building in motion, making a whole facade that moves? Well, it could not be done in Europe. It is a risky project, and Europe is not a place that rewards audacity. So in 1997, he crossed the Atlantic as the city of Milwaukee needed an extension for its art museum, the Quadracci Pavilion, a reception hall with these incredible movable wings. Santiago's dream of motion is accomplished, and in a beautiful way. The perfect convergence of art, architecture, and engineering. The effect of the building in Milwaukee has been to reach levels could only have dreamed of. This building is a complete success, and these moving wings should have been Calatrava's signature in the US. The Quadracci Pavilion is delivered in 2001, the same year as 9/11. In New York, it takes time to process the attack and clear the debris. But in 2003, it's already time to put the bricks back. In January 2004, Santiago presents his project.
how the futuristic New World Trade Center transportation hub will look.
A dove-like structure, with flapping wings, like in Milwaukee. The project is met with a standing ovation. And the day the cornerstone was laid, his daughter Sofia released a pair of dove, a big emotional gesture. But behind the applause and Santiago's grin, others clenched. Officially said to be a pair of doves, were actually homing pigeons, because the Oculus is a textbook case of mega project overreach.
This structure is billions over budget and at least 5 years behind schedule.
After 9/11, the emotional context is very strong. It was the kind of environment that inspired grand visions. The risk for overruns was there from the start. Early estimates for the transportation hub were based on conceptual design, therefore unrealistic. So it was written since the beginning that the budget of the Oculus would overrun. And as the Oculus took shape, obstacles multiplied. By all accounts, it was a logistical nightmare. Priority was given to the memorial. Trains still passed beneath the construction site. The moving wings are abandoned in 2008. Interior pillars had to be added.
Port Authority kept trying to convince Calatrava to put a column there because it'd be much, much easier. And he just said, if you put a column there, I'm leaving the project. Which I think would have been a good thing.
Adding to this a massive administrative component, multiple intermediaries, every single decision had to get through a cascade of agreements. And after 9/11, the security is on edge. The 2004 and 2005 terror attacks in Madrid and London reopened a wound that hadn't healed at all. Adding to this an economic crisis in 2008 and a hurricane in 2012, you get the perfect cocktail. $2 billion over budget, 7 years late, major compromise on the original vision. And 2 years before the Oculus, Santiago delivered the Florida Polytechnique, in time, in budget, with the moving wings. This is proof that Santiago can come in on budget. And perhaps the problem is more about mega projects. Only 0.5% of mega projects are delivered on time, on budget, and actually deliver what was promised. But this does not explain the structural flaws, as Santiago's demon followed him all the way to New York's.
That the Port Authority has already spent some $50,000 to patch up the leak and will now have to shell out at least another $200,000.
So, we covered a lot of things, and yet there's so many controversies that I did not address. Is Santiago the world's most hated architect? Well, yes, most certainly. No architect come close to this level of controversy. Now the question is why? Why are there so many controversies? Why are there structural problems? Why is it leaking? Why is it slippery? There is no obvious answer. And stating that Santiago is incompetent would be blatant lie and unfair. Most of his work doesn't record any problem, apart from budget. In my opinion, the answer to all of these are right in front of us since the beginning. The same reason why the Zubizuri bridge is slippery, why the Sandica airport had a rating room outdoors, and why he attacked Bilbao when they added a ramp. Santiago is not an architect.
I want to be a painter, I want to be a painter, and indeed...
I want to be Picasso, another great Spaniard.
He is an artist that treats architecture like art. Hence, he puts primacy on aesthetics rather than functionality. It is a simple explanation, but when you listen to his interview, he keeps telling the same thing. Beauty and aesthetics is the most important metric for him. He feels that he's doing much more for the world making something beautiful, rather than making something functional. Now it's a bit exaggerated, because his buildings are not functionless, but he would rather have you slip on a beautiful bridge than have you cross it easily on an ugly one. In Bilbao, locals said that Santiago had a heart attack when he learned that people walked on his bridge. Now obsessing over beauty is a legitimate artistic choice. The real issue comes back to the public market. In the end, it's taxpayer money. But is it Santiago's fault or the commissioners? Santiago has always been very ambitious. He never hid his will to have his work to be the pinnacles of the cities he worked for. He wants to build a Notre Dame, an Alhambra, a Prado. And it must be said that for the City of Art and Science, or the Milwaukee Art Museum, this goal is achieved, as they are inevitable features of the city now. Considering this, all of the controversies around Santiago are not surprising. And there is one last component, perhaps the most perverse of all. Santiago has many idols, and in the architectural world, he likes Pierluigi Nervi or Eero Saarinen. And these people, for the vast majority of humanity, are completely unknown. It is the curse of the architect. It is the role of the unknown. Unless you are an artist. Santiago signs autograph in public. He gets standing ovation. He's not like the other architects. He's a rock star. What does it mean to have this much recognition in your lifetime while many of your idols struggled? It's a bad sign. It makes you grateful for your detractor. That is the perverse side of humanity. Controversies will always make more noise. You'd think that after all of these lawsuits, all of these controversies, people would flee him. Absolutely not. It's the opposite that seemed to happen. The world's most hated architect is also one of the most famous architects ever.